Hello guys, welcome to another weekly breakdown video. Today I'll be breaking down the last week of January, as you can see, 27th of January 2025. And before starting the weekly breakdown, let me quickly show you the news. And Monday there is no news as always. Tuesday there is CB consumer confidence. Wednesday there is BOE government Bailey speaks. Thursday there is federal funds rate and USD news throughout the day, and Friday there is Euro and USD news again. So yeah, that was about the news. And now the weekly bias is clearly bullish according to how this candle closed on we trade the previous weekly candles. So the previous weekly candles is clearly showing the price was bearish, and now it has found some sort of support here at this demand, on this weekly demand right there on here, which is a valid demand because a huge bullish move happened from this area right here. And according to how the previous candle closed, next week I'll be anticipating to look for buys. Anything that's aligning with the weekly bias being bullish will be high probability on GU, and on DXY the opposite sort of thing, which will be bearish to target this draw of liquidity, supply demand, fair value gap, market structure shift, and our target, right? So now this is the weekly analysis for you guys, and now going to the daily, we can clearly see the supply, demand, fair value gap, market structure shift, and my targets again. So now going on Monday, my bias is clearly bullish according to how this Friday candle closed, and also the weekly bias is aligning with the daily bias. So we will anticipate, if we get a trade, I will take a trade on Monday, right? And also on Monday there was no news, as you can see. So that is when I go to the lower time frames like the H4. On the H4 time frame, we can clearly see there was a demand zone right here. This demand zone is valid due to this fair value gap, market structure shift here, and also it was with the bias being bullish, which I have not marked, which I've marked but I have deleted because it was not making sense. So if I'm looking for a buy opportunity, I will look for a buy from this H1 demand right there. There's fair value gaps for the price to fill, which the price can fill, and it did fill. The price went down, filled up this H1 fair value gap. As we know, whenever there is a gap in the market, the price always like tend to fill up the fair value gaps. I have seen it so many times in the market that it feels illegal now. So now on the M15 time frame, as you can see, this is a demand zone which was made on New York session, and a huge move happened from here. So this demand zone, if the price went down and mitigated this demand zone, it would be a very high probability trade for us. So yeah, that is when I probably waited for the demand zone to get mitigated. Asian low liquidity got swept, the demand zone didn't got mitigated, but I believe I took this trade. I could have taken this trade on basis of purely on basis of the DXY. As you can see, DXY swept the Asian high inducement, and also this trade I could have taken on the Euro USD. As you can see, beautiful trade on Euro USD. This demand zone which was made on the London session was valid. The price went down, swept the Asian low, went up, came down again, kinda mitigated the demand again, and and gave us a reaction from this demand zone here, and a beautiful move happened from this area right here. So on GBP USD, this was a trade which could have been taken on Euro USD. So that's it. The bias was correct. The trade, the setup did show up, but our H1 demand didn't got mitigated. That was the reason I didn't do the trade, and so on and so forth, right? So this was Monday for you guys. The New York session did some sort of opposite thing, which I don't care, to be honest, because if I get a trade on London, I don't care about the New York that much, right? So now going on Tuesday, my bias is again bullish. Yes, you can argue there is a fair value gap here to fill, but according to how this Monday candle close, on Tuesday I'll be looking for buys again to continue with the bias, because I trade with the bias. Whereas on DXY, the bias was not clear. DXY was a doji and GBP USD was a bullish candle, so trading on Tuesday would be very tricky because the bias is not clear. And also the bias was not clear, and also on Tuesday there was CB consumer confidence, which is totally fine. And due to I have backtested, right? I am not skipping this day. Due to I have already backtested this, I know that what happened here. Tuesday was a very low volatile day for us, and that is why I have skipped this day. Don't think like I'm skipping the trades, right? Tuesday I have analyzed, I have literally seen the market condition. The market condition was not one of the best, so I'm just skipping this on Tuesday. So also on Tuesday it was a bullish day on GBP USD. As you can see, if I traded the DXY bias was not clear, so it was not that of a high probability anyways. So now the price also rejecting from this daily demand, and then now we can anticipate for the price to go to the supply, which it is already doing. according to how this Tuesday candle closed, on Wednesday now I will look for sales because I trade with the daily bias and I adapt to the markets, right? So also on Wednesday there was no news, as you can see right here. So it would be a good trade on Wednesday because there is no news, first of all, and also the price has now shifted structure to bearish and the bias is clear on the higher time frames. So H4, this is the supply zone, this is the change of character right here on here, which I have already transferred it here because of what I've seen on the markets, and also it was aligning with the weekly bias being the DXY bias being bullish. And this trade I've taken from this sort of supply. I will show you how the Asian range closed very bullish, as you can see, and it entered my supply zone that I've marked. This supply zone that I've marked was an Asian supply zone, as you can see. This supply zone is valid due to this bearish move right here, and for me on Wednesday it didn't make sense for the price to go up all the way here and then make the move, right? So that is the reason why I have chose to take the trade on from this zone right here, and this zone was literally beautifully respected, as you can see right here. A beautiful move happened from here. I took the trade on the M5. The entry was clean, as clean as it can get, right? So the Asian high liquidity got swept, some sort of accumulation happened, London session came in, induced all of the early sellers right here. There was inducement, right? This was the inducement. The price went up, induced all of the early sellers here, and then give us a change of character right here and here at our time window, which is very important. Time window is very important for me to take a trade. So the change of character happened at our time window after an accumulation, manipulation and distribution, and that is when I entered the market at the OTE level, targeting 1:3, and it was a beautiful trade on London session that I caught. And yeah, trades like this appears in the markets very frequently. All I gotta do is prepare myself to be available, to make myself available, and make my routine in such a way that I can catch these trades. Now I have done so much of hard work to learn the strategy, to learn everything about the markets. Now it's my time to reap the rewards, bro. Today I have also bought a scooty and I'm taking risk. I know that I'm gonna make the money back, and I know that I believe in myself 100% that I'm gonna make it. That is why I am not afraid of making those decisions, going and buying with the last money I have, right? So yeah, I will figure it out. I am gonna figure it out. So yeah, I believe in myself. That's very important. So now going on Thursday, my bias changed to bullish according to how this candle closed on Wednesday. So on Thursday I'll be looking for buys to target the previous day high and the previous day high on DXY, whereas on DXY my bias is clearly bearish according to how this candle closed. You can argue the price entered the supply zone, daily supply zone. You can argue this is the supply zone right here, but I marked the whole candle because of certain parameters. And yeah, the price is now rejecting from this supply zone, and my bias on DXY is bearish and on GU is bullish. That is when I go to the H4. The H4, some sort of change of character to the upside, which there was none, and I was looking for a buy from this sort of H1 because look, this H1 demand zone is valid because it was made on New York session and a market structure shifted here. There was also fair value gap market structure shift. It was with the bias being bullish. So higher time frame bias was bullish, market structure shift and fair value gap. That is what we want to see in a valid order block, right? That we have learned with DoviFX. So to be honest, on this day I do get a move. I do get a bullish move at our time window again. But the only reason that I didn't took this trade was my demand zone was not mitigated, and this demand zone right here was not strong because it was made it was not made in our session. So I don't trade zones that are not made in our session, meaning sometimes I do if the conditions are good in the markets, but in this case I didn't like the condition. As you can see, there was also no clear entry model. As you can see, to be honest, there was an entry model, lower high lower low accumulation, some sort of accumulation right here. The price accumulated and then broke structure above here. Could have entered somewhere around here, but maybe in the live market I would have not taken this trade, so I also kept that in mind. So yeah, New York session did nothing, as you can see. And yeah, basically the price went up, filled up the fair value gap, mitigated, manipulated all of these highs right here, London sessions, and then the price made a move to the downside. We know in the market the price is either going up from a demand or coming down from a supply, and it's going from one liquidity point to another, right? So whenever it's going up, we will target a supply zone which was made here on London. So the price went up, swept all of the liquidity from London session, and then went to the downside. That is exactly what the price does, and that is exactly what happens on the market, right? So that is how Thursday candle closed, as you can see right here. Now going on Friday, my bias is again clear because how this candle closed. Thursday candle closed as a very bearish candle. So on Friday I am looking for sells again to fill up this daily fair value gap right here. There was a daily fair value gap right here. Thursday closed as a very bearish candle right here. So on Friday I was looking for sells to fill up this daily fair value gap. That is when I go to the H4 time frame again. On the H4 time frame, we can see this supply zone which I marked already got manipulated, and then a huge sells happened to the downside. Also on Friday, if I show you the news, there was German prelim CPI and USD news, so it would be a little bit tricky. That is when I go to the H1 time frame. On the H1, we can clearly see the Asian range close something like this. I was looking for sells, so if I'm looking for sells, I would look for a sell from this supply zone. It was very clean, but the only problem with this supply zone was it was not in our session. This supply zone on the New York session would be more stronger than this supply zone right here, but I adapt, right? So even if the price wants to make a make a move from this zone, as long as it is in my time window, I will take it. So this trade I have executed because of my time window. As you can see, it literally happened at my timing, which is London session, and that is why I executed this trade at the first place. To be honest, this entry was not valid. The market literally went without us, and this entry was not valid, to be honest, and the risk to reward also was not making sense. So Friday also was a no trade day for me, because I was looking for a trade from this supply zone, and I don't wanna, and even if the move happens from here, I don't care, right? The market is gonna give me opportunities again and again. That is why trading is so beautiful. The markets are gonna give you opportunities. All you gotta do is prepare yourself to take them. Don't hurry, or don't make a day like it's your last day of trading, right? So it made sense from here. Didn't happen what I wanted to see, so the price literally went without us, and I don't care, bro. The supply zone that I've marked literally got respected. As you can see, the move did happen from the supply zone that I've marked. I told you this New York supply zone is valid, and it's very strong because of the session. The price swept so much of liquidity. London high got swept, New York high got swept, the previous structural liquidity got swept. So after the price has swept so much of liquidity, it also makes sense to make a move. So this trade was totally valid, but I didn't took it because it was not in our time window. That is one of my trading plan. And after my back testing is finished, after my back testing session is finished, that is when I'm gonna write down my trading plan again from top to bottom, and I'm gonna follow those trading plan religiously, and you will see the difference in my trading. So this was how Friday closed. This was the weekly breakdown for you guys. I will not show you the weekly breakdown callouts. If you wanna see these callouts, it will be on my important callout session. And Friday literally closes a bearish candle right here. The fair value gap on the daily time frame got filled to the T now, not filled to the T. It's little 20% of the fair value gap is left, but we will anticipate that to fill. The weekly candle closed as a bearish candle, so next week I'll be looking for sells again. Let's see how the candle closed. And yeah, that was the weekly breakdown for you guys. Hope you guys get something from this video, and yeah, see you on the next one.